Edit.
Yeah. Cut.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so I stopped watching it. But I watched it as a kid every week with my dad. I never watched the pay-per-views or anything, so it was always the big surprise reveal, like who retained what at pay-per-views.
Yeah. The Raw after a pay-per-view was such a big deal back then.
Oh, it was a huge deal.
Yeah. Because I barely ever saw pay-per-views.
Yeah.
But I watched all the weekly product.
Yeah,
I watched Heat.
All the heat.
Bro, I was at Velocity Live. You know what I'm
Velocity,
saying?
bro. I just went back and they have all
Like
of that on.
06.
Somebody went and made like a little playlist of all the Velocity stuff on YouTube. And they're just like 45 minutes to an hour long. Just like, bro, there's a lot of matches on there though.
Yeah. Velocity. I saw Ultimo Dragon before he debuted in a dark match versus Crash Holly. It was my favorite match to watch. And I mean, Cena was there. It was the episode of... They filmed Velocity right before SmackDown.
Yeah.
But the episode of SmackDown that it was when Mr. America was there. And they did the polygraph test.
Okay.
It was like 06 or something. 05, 06. And yeah, it's hilarious. The section I was in, some random guy came up and was like, hey, we all decided the polygraph's name is Mickey. So when it comes out, we're all going to chant, Mickey sucks. So you can't hear it because there's only like a dozen of us, but we were screaming,
All right.
Mickey sucks. And then Mr. America, he passed because he wasn't Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I don't know. Wrestling started to get stale for me in like around 2008. Like, I liked CM Punk when CM Punk finally came into the mix and started doing a bunch of shit. Shit was kind of changing a little bit.
After ECW.
Yeah, after the revival, which I didn't mind that too bad. There were some really good moments from that, but also it was pretty bad bringing that back.
Yeah, they really didn't do ECW very well service. That was fucked up.
No, I think the most memorable thing from that ECW comeback was the second one night stand in 05 where RVD versus Cena. Or they
06.
It was 06?
Yeah. First one's 05.
Okay, and then they just ridiculed Cena the whole time, and then Heyman comes out and they like steal the belt essentially.
We'd never seen Cena treated like that.
Never.
And
He was the poster boy.
I'm honestly convinced they would have rioted if RVD had not won. Holy shit. Remember earlier when we were talking about who should give RVD his retirement match? Fucking John Cena. Let John Cena get that one back for the WWE.
Yeah, that could be okay.
Nah, it should be Paul Heyman.
No.
You want to see bad work rate? Go watch him beef with Jim Cornette back in the day.
I don't want to.
No, it's awful.
But yeah, and one thing that I kind of regret since like when I quit watching it, honestly, there's so many Raws or just like in house shows in general or whatever out in Pensacola out here, that I just was like, I'm not into wrestling anymore. I'm not gonna go pay to watch these at the Civic Center type shit. And I kind of
I saw it.
I kind of regret doing that. Like I wish I would have had that opportunity now because we really can't now.
Dude, I saw when I moved to South Florida, I got to see FCW before it was NXT, and that was fucking great. Like Big E came out, Big E Langston back then. Lemur's there at the show. Shout out to Bad Luck Lem. And he had just left to go buy some nachos or something. He was a real fat boy at the time. And he goes to get himself some nachos. He rolls back up and he's like sitting down and he's like, he got stung by a beetle, so he's all distracted and shit. It was hilarious. We had weird beetles down there that stung you.
All right.
It's horrible. Hilarious. Big E comes out, he's talking shit. He's doing a bark like Titus O'Neil style. Hur, hur. He's yelping. He's all in pink still. He looks like his New Day outfit.
All right.
But he's angry. And I start talking shit. And I'm yelling at him. I'm like, you ain't shit. I fuck you up. And I'm talking like legit shit that would get you beat the fuck up anywhere else.
And how old are you at this point?
Oh, this is when I'm like 17 or 18. No, I think I'd broken my back, so I was 18.
Okay.
So I'm 18, running my mouth, old enough to catch an ass whooping by this guy. And he gets up to us, and he had been ignoring me. Like he turned his back to where we were.
Yeah.
Got up in the ring. He didn't get into the ring. He stopped after he started listening into what I was saying and climbs down and walks over to the guardrail and starts leaning over. And he's big, man. He's like Brodus Clay height.
He's huge.
Like, he's fucking huge. It's weird. He's leaning over and he starts screaming like, yo, who said that? You want me to come out there? And I start marking out like, oh no, I'm in fear.
Yeah.
And I just point at Lemur. I just pointed right at him, and Big E looks to him and he's like, "You!" And he starts talking shit, and Lemur's just like, "Whoa, he's gonna kill me." And then he leaves, starts working the match, and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck was that about?" It's like, "Oh, I was talking a lot of shit you didn't notice, and then I kind of put it off on you." And I've been doing that our whole lives. Yeah, moving to South Florida is something that got me back into it because the guy we moved in with was super into it.
Yeah.
He had like an old school DVD collection that you used to see in houses where there's like 40,
Yeah.
80, 100,
Yeah.
but just all wrestling. Like anything the WWE put out, he had. But he taught me about Deep South Wrestling. He taught me about OVW. He taught me about PWG. He was like, "Yeah, Mike Knox is awesome. He comes from Deep South and PWG." I was like, "I don't know any of this. Why do you like Mike Knox?" And that was his reasoning.
All right.
He was like, "Guy was great other places." I was like, all right, man, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, doing the whole, like, not watching it right there towards, because I mean, like, graduated in 2011, and that's pretty much around the time period, a couple years prior, where I just, like, stopped watching it.
Yeah, and 2011 is the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
CM Punk, and then that showdown at TLC and all that.
I stopped watching it around then, just because, like, I was fresh out of high school. I had other shit I wanted to do. Going out. I just didn't have time to keep up with it anymore, and I had lost interest. It had grown a little stale.
Yeah.
But then
It was still PG as fuck besides CM Punk.
yeah, for the most part, and I couldn't get past that. I wanted to see some of that blood and then get gritty again,
I wanted to hear them say ass.
yeah, yeah, all the cussing and everything that I loved about it as a child went away. But then here we are, 2021. Last year, COVID hits. WWE Network goes fucking free, and didn't have shit to do, didn't have shit to watch, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll download it. It's free. I can go back and watch some shit. The first thing I watched was the 2020 Royal Rumble, and I loved it. I don't know why, but watching Brock Lesnar in that time period manhandle 15 fucking people.
15.
He, number one, he eliminates 15 people before he got eliminated. There's 30 people in the whole thing.
Yeah. And the gimmick was all great because he's the current world champion in that match.
Yeah.
And then the winner's supposed to face him at WrestleMania. And he says, "Nah, fuck that. None of you deserve it. I'm going to go eliminate you all to prove it."
Yeah. And I kind of would have been okay if that had actually happened.
Yeah.
But it
Fucking imagine.
Yeah, obviously it didn't. I mean, Edge came back that year. I kind of marked out for that.
Yeah, random Edge return.
Yeah.
With, like, the last year, he had been doing interviews for people like over in England. I can't remember all the names, like Beyond the Ropes or whatever.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Inside the Ropes.
Yeah.
He's doing interviews for them, and he's like, "No, I'm just doing like a Legends deal. I'm not signed. I'm not cleared to wrestle." And he swerved us all for a full year, and then debuts.
I mean, he had to. He had to see if he could do it for himself, not for us, but he had to make sure he could still do it, and then it was a great comeback.
And he looked great.
Oh, yeah. He looked fucking awesome.
Damn.
I mean, like, yeah, he's peppered and aged, but, like, to get back in that shape in his mid to late 40s, like...
Oh, he's downright fuckable. That's a beautiful man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had a girlfriend and she cheated on me and it was Edge, I'd be like, "No, I get it. I get it. Like, I'll still probably treat you worse than him."
I mean,
He's a great guy. Probably a great fuck.
But that was what really... I wouldn't say that's what started the rabbit hole, but...
It definitely helped.
It helped. I had so much shit to watch because they made everything free. I could go watch all the pay-per-views, past Raws and shit like that. And so I watched the Royal Rumble, kept going back, and next thing you know, I've watched all the Royal Rumbles going back to like 1990, like right around when they started, you know what I'm saying?
Like, I saw Sid get a win.
Yeah.
No, not Sid. Sid ever win the Rumble?
Sid Vicious?
Yeah. He was world champion. I don't think he won a Rumble.
I don't remember.
Greatest world champion of all time.
I don't know about that.
Greatest tag team champion of all time, Jacques Rougeau.
Okay.
All right, the premiere of Dynamite.
See, that was something I missed. I was behind on.
Yeah, you were just kind of like it was almost there.
No, Dynamite was already going by the time I like got back into wrestling or whatever. Because like it was like June 2020. of 2020 when I started to like start watching some
Okay,
old
yeah,
WWE product again.
We're just over 2 years into Dynamite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are now. So yeah, I missed that.
Dude, when I heard they were getting a TV show on on a fucking Turner station,
Yeah.
I got so excited. Because I wasn't exactly old enough to understand the Monday Night Wars. Like, I liked both companies because it was pro wrestling.
Same.
And there was really good pro wrestling in both companies.
Yeah.
And, like, so... But now, knowing the history and understanding everything, it just gave it this extra level.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're coming back. We're on a major company. Like, we're with TBS. We're with Turner again.
Yeah, for the first time in almost 20 years.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do? And now they've bullied NXT off Wednesdays, and they're going to start putting up 1 million a week. They're going to beat Raw.
Oh yeah, easy for sure.
Raw's putting up 1.7 million viewers.
If that for like, then I'm pretty sure that's just for like the target demographic or whatever.
Yeah. How many weeks was WCW ahead? 58 or something?
No, what did he named it 83 weeks.
83 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
83. I sound like an asshole now, but 83 weeks. Get ready. Dynamite's finna take that. 183 weeks.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, it's just better.
It's a great product. And then, yeah, the other two dark shows or whatever being on YouTube, I see that they don't draw in the biggest viewership, but they still pull in over like 10K viewers easy on those shows, even though it's a YouTube product. I don't know. I think
those shows are so important to get those guys work, though.
Oh,
those
yeah.
guys and girls, like, just to get workers work.
Yeah, and it's a great way. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan said the reason that they do so many matches on there is because there's nothing really down here for the local talent and all these other people around the states and the world. There's not really anything for them to showcase themselves on anymore. And so he brings them in, give them trial runs, lets them, pay per match type thing or whatever to give them a shot and let them actually get some eyes on them and see how they do. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be really easy to get signed.
Yeah.
Like, you can go work PWG now if you're on Elevation.
Yeah.
You can go get some indie work.
And, I mean, there's plenty of good indie places still, plenty of them.
Amazing ones. There are indie places that I feel weird calling indie places. Mm-hmm. Like an ROH or an MLW or NWA. They don't feel like indies.
No,
they just feel like small, major promotions.
Yeah. I mean, essentially that's what they are.
Yeah. And they're fucking amazing.
Yeah. I mean, GCW, I mean, they've put on a good bit of stuff over the years, but, like, I would still kind of consider them indie because, like, it's still very, like, small but insanely notable because they've had a lot of people come through there who have made Joey Janela. Like, and then they're doing the blood sport shit. Like,
yeah, Josh Barnett's part of it. Like,
yeah.
Tom Lawler.
Yeah.
Putting in work. Cal Jack. A lot of great guys. Another one for me, when I was in South Florida, we watched WrestleMania live.
All right.
Which I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
I'd never bought one. And it was the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24.
All right. That was pretty good. That was a good match.
Yeah, so, like, I hadn't seen a storytelling in a match, in a blow-off, that well executed and that big and that major that actually meant something in the major landscape of pro wrestling.
Yeah, dude, the ending of that match, just like Ric Flair just standing there and I'm sorry. And this super kicks him.
I love you. Boom. And then the pin comes and Shawn immediately hops over and just starts crying and breaking down into his ear.
Yeah.
Like, that's emotional. That, like, you don't have to be a longtime fan to watch that and then be like, I wanna know the history.
Yeah.
I wanna see why Ric Flair was such a big deal and why it mattered between these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's monumental in its own right.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of their backgrounds or whatever, like, it was just the way they portrayed themselves throughout that whole thing was great.
Yeah. Like, the mantle was passed.
Oh yeah.
Like,
But
you're
then,
now the greatest of all time, Sean.
Just for him to shortly thereafter
retire we don't talk about
you know
that here. We don't talk about Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan in TNA.
Yeah.
It's so
That
bad.
should have never happened.
No.
Hey, but that's something, that's another thing you can talk about here in a second.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
showed
Another
me the
one.
other
Yeah,
day.
the other day. It's such, that was big. The Woo Off.
Yeah.
Him and Jay Lethal, when they get into that battle where Jay Lethal is a better Ric Flair than Ric Flair.
It's scary at how good he was at
Yeah.
mimicking other pro wrestlers.
Yeah, that guy should be a main eventer anywhere he is.
Yeah.
And he's still in his 30s.
I mean, I don't understand why he's being so loyal to ROH, you know what I'm saying? But I kind of get it. He's done insanely well there.
Yeah, yeah. They love him. He loves them. I think it's the fan base.
Yeah.
The ROH fan base is something special. Like, AEW draws fans from all over the place, from different walks.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting deathmatch fans and technician fans.
Yeah.
ROH just has, like, that dedicated honor fan base.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they put on good stuff. That was something. The G1 Super Climax from 2019. That's really sent me down the rabbit hole of wrestling again.
Yeah, of outside WWE wrestling particularly.
Because it was the first time I didn't know really what New Japan was.
Yeah.
I was so closed off from wrestling because I had just quit paying attention. And as a kid, I was just mainstream WWE for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know what that shit was. And so they put it on YouTube, the whole fucking thing, like 5+ hours of it.
Yeah. I watched that whole show twice. It's so good.
It was so fucking good. That battle royale they did in the beginning.
Muda.
Yeah, the tag matches, like that whole thing was fire. And that's really what sent me down and just deep hole of wrestling.
To move just from that, another one for me, the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Tag team wrestling in general, when I started hearing about the Bucks after they had left TNA, I recognized them from TNA, and I was like, oh, these guys, like, I'll watch their stuff. They're getting popular for some reason. Maybe it's a weird spot.
Yeah.
No, it's just amazing matches that made tag team wrestling cool again.
Yeah, I mean, that was another one. Right after I watched the G1 Super card or whatever, I found Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros at the 2019 All Out or whatever, that TLC match. And as soon as I saw Penta do the Canadian Destroyer through the table, I was mind blown. I was like, I've missed out on so much in wrestling. Like I just couldn't stop consuming it.
And that's 4 of the greatest workers currently in the world outside of the major promotions.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, now they are a major promotion.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah, the Young Bucks, like they changed the game with everybody.
Yeah.
AEW is on another level.
And to just randomly come up with the Bullet Club concept like they did and start making t-shirts and getting it out there, like, now look at Bullet Club. It's a fucking staple in New Japan and across the world.
It changed Tama Tonga's life.
Like, to the point where Hot Topic's hitting up WWE because so many people in the crowd are wearing Bullet Club shirts. They're like, hey, can we have the rights to it? And they're like, we don't fucking own that.
like, nah, that's all New Japan. Still cost $100 to get a Bullet Club Zippo. Or maybe 110. Damn. Yeah, I want one so bad if anyone wants to order me that. I'll send you the Young Boys address and you can mail it there.
Does not sound safe.
Yeah, I don't care. That's what you're here for. You're here to take the dangerous bumps.
Fair enough.
I think some key points that I finally went back and watched after going down my rabbit hole that solidified, like, I love pro wrestling. I don't know why I stopped watching it type thing.
Yeah.
Those 4 matches at Mania with Taker, the 2 Shawn Michaels, the 2 Triple H, all in consecutive order. They're so good because you don't need any context. You don't need any of the fucking build up leading up to those. You can just sit down and watch all 4 of those matches and be like.
And I mean, watch the video packages.
I mean,
to go with them because that just it fucking paints the story.
It's
so good.
Yeah, and honestly, that was like my favorite version of Taker too, because like. He'd gone from being the dead man, we'd already had the whole like ministry thing, into the fucking rolling, fucking American badass shit. And then when he finally like chilled out, he disappeared for a little while and was kind of just making those like casual comeback appearances or whatever after the whole little Randy Orton spat in like 2005, 2006, where they brought his dad in. And then, but that's like my favorite version of Taker because it was
modern dead man.
The modern, because he'd combined all of his move sets, was still doing all the like the sit up type shit. Like he just combined all of it, and it was so good. And he was.
That kind of started with when he came back to face Kane.
At
WrestleMania, he showed up with all the Druids, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley being one of those Druids.
Xavier Woods was also one of those Druids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's why you work developmental.
Yeah. Speaking of developmental,
when he returned that year, that was the big change for him.
Yeah, but I mean those fucking 4 matches just by themselves, I wanted to cry watching them. Yeah, like they're so good.
If wrestling ever gets stale to you, or that's what you need to get back into wrestling, and you want to, do that. Yeah. Watch those 4 with the video packages, just back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
they're all fucking masterpieces. And it's modern enough.
Like, that's him. We should probably sit him down and, like, make him watch those.
Yeah, that would be a great video to do, too.
And it may not even send you, like, down a deep rabbit hole like we have with wrestling or whatever, but the storytelling and, like I wanted to cry watching them, bro. They're so good.
It'll show you what wrestling's supposed to be.
With 3 of the best people to ever set foot in the squared circle.
I mean, just for that run, if we want to add to it, we could throw in the Ric Flair Undertaker.
Yeah.
When they did Mania, because the build-up was good with Undertaker going around attacking people.
Yeah.
He was just fucking up everyone Ric Flair cared about because he needed a match. And then you get Shawn Michaels basically coming back and doing the same thing to Taker.
Yes.
So it just all comes full circle, and it's like, it's one of those stories that you get every once in a blue moon from WWE, where they let the workers take the reins.
Yeah.
And when you let workers take the reins, you usually get a way better story.
That's exactly why AEW is going to succeed in the long run.
Yeah.
They have a creative team that is there to help guide and, like, help with the wrestlers' ideas and help them formulate and keep it going. But it's the wrestlers I want to do this with this person, and they're letting them do it.
And it's also most of their coaches and whatnot are people who got to use the mic and understand the difference.
Yeah.
Who were like, whenever I got to do my own shit, I got over. Once they started scripting things, not so much.
Yeah.
I ended up in TNA.
TNA wasn't bad, bro, but, like...
No, it wasn't. It was just a loose ship. It was destined to sink and rise again over the next decade.
I loved it up until...
Vince Russo era? Up until reverse battle royals
Yeah.
and 30-man parking lot brawls.
We'll see. I think I stopped watching wrestling as a whole all about the same time, but when you had Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Sting, Booker T, like
Christian.
Yeah, that whole dynamic, like
Scott Steiner.
That was crazy, dude, in those cage matches that they were fucking...
Daniels, AJ Styles, Amazing Red.
Yeah. Dude,
like literally some of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Who
had so many good people there. I mean, fuck. I've never been a Jeff Jarrett fan.
I am now. Years gone by, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I get it. And hopefully the whole whatever that lawsuit shit is, like, whatever. Hopefully he can get that shit settled. But back in the day, bro, when he first started it, he wanted to be Vince McMahon so fucking bad. Yeah. He's like, this is my company. I'm going to be the champion. You're going to see me on TV as much as fucking possible. And he shoved himself down people's throats. Yeah, and it made people despise him.
Which is good heel work, but a lot of times that was turned to channel heat.
Yeah.
Especially when they went head to head.
Yeah.
Like, you're not winning against WWE at that time.
And it didn't help that time slot that they were at or whatever on Monday. So WWE was still 3 hours long, or was it 2 at that?
It was still 2.
It was still 2. So it was from 7 to 9, and then at 9 o'clock on Spike, you have TNA starting right after it. And that's, as a kid, I would instantly swap and go watch it. But they couldn't take on Vince.
No. And then they took the same time slot.
Yeah.
That was just bad. There's a bunch of good videos out there.
Bringing in Dixie Carter, though, that's...
Whew.
Hulk Hogan, Dixie Carter, all that shit.
Yeah, that's a subject for a much less happy video.
Yeah.
All right, back to AEW changing the game.
Uh-huh.
That Cody Rhodes promo.
Which one?
All right, so people call it his Hard Times promo. I think we need a better name for it.
I probably haven't even seen what you're talking about.
I call it the ungoddamn deniable promo.
Okay.
Because it's him and Jericho when he's cutting it, and he's like, Chris Jericho, you've called me a millennial bitch. And he starts cutting hard, and he's like, it took me however long from going to undesirable to ungoddamn deniable. And you can like see him get real emotional, and that one still gets me. It's like a 6-minute promo.
I'll have to go find that.
Oh, he cuts it on Jericho, and it's just so perfect. Like, that's why I think he's one of the best in the game. His in-ring stuff is great.
Yeah.
But when he cuts promos like that, it gets me.
I mean, Cody's that perfect, like, he's the perfect story of, like, why you shouldn't do something too young. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, be thrown into something so young. Because barely 20 years old, thrown to the wolves in WWE to be treated like dog shit.
Yeah.
Like, just to get poor gimmick after poor gimmick, fucking nose is broken, you end up as a Randy Orton lackey, just to not get pushed, then you come back, and then you're just a mid-carder, and
Yeah.
then you're fucking Stardust. Like, that killed him, dude.
I still love Stardust. That's how good he is. He got Stardust over with me.
I mean, with the two of them, the Gold Dust Stardust thing, like, I got it to an extent, but it was so bad for
Yeah.
Cody's just well-being in that company.
I'm glad it happened
Oh yeah,
because it led to AEW.
oh yeah,
Like, he got treated like shit.
bad.
It was just terrible writing, terrible booking, and then you see it with a John Moxley,
Yeah.
who comes over. Watching him debut is another one that kept me in it.
Yeah.
It made me realize this is why I love the game, because you can take a mid-card guy who's getting sterilizing shots in the ass
Yeah.
on live TV, and then just be like, nah, son, be closer to who you really are as a person, walk down the steps, and go kick someone's ass. And it's like, all right, we have tough guys in wrestling still.
Those are
I
two
just
things
forgot.
that I did like when I first started watching or whatever, and I was like figuring out what the fuck AEW was. Those were some things I saw that really were like, okay, I have no choice but to go figure out what this is. It was like seeing Moxley show up. That was a great entrance for him into that company.
Yeah.
And then Jericho showing up.
Yeah.
Then in the Penta costume or whatever, and like hitting the code breaker on Kenny. Awesome. I was like, I have to go figure out what this is, because at the time I still didn't really know who Kenny was. I was still like new to New Japan, figuring all that shit out.
Yeah.
And it was the key moments. Like, even though they're older people that I know from WWE or whatever, they've moved on. They've helped progress the world of wrestling to make
Yeah.
me get back into it, even when they're part of the reason I got out of it. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't even on them.
no, it
It
wasn't.
was on WWE lack of creative.
Oh yeah,
It was on Vince
Horrible
McMahon's fucking
gimmicks.
stranglehold.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do one more that's not. We can stop sucking on AEW's tit for a minute, and I'll give us one that we both watched parts of. I think I watched more of it because I have less of a life. GCW Fight Forever.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to watch all that.
Fucking Q Terry Funk. Fight Forever. Clip that in. But yeah, man. Watching that, seeing indie talent do a 24-hour stream, watching Deppin and I don't remember everyone's names right now because it's the top of the head, but Deppin in that double Iron Man match.
2 hours. Yeah.
2 hours of wrestling. Finished the first hour. The kid said, "I want more." And it was like, "I'll give you more," and I was struck. It was like 2 a.m. or something. They had death matches. They had great women's matches. They had people doing multiple matches.
Yeah.
Fight Forever was amazing.
Every time I kept tuning into it, I would see like the same people in a completely different match, like hours, maybe not even hours later, but like an hour or 2 hours later, they're just working so many matches back
Yeah.
to back.
440 was there, which I didn't know about till Fight Forever.
They had a
Ricky Shane Page, Atticus Kogar, a lot of good deathmatch guys, a lot of the old CZW guard.
all right.
Because CZW hasn't been running, so a lot of those guys are working GCW. Nick
Makes sense.
Gage, a lot of people.
There's a lot of athleticism that goes into all that as well, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
like getting to watch all those indie guys come together, and like watching the hard work that they put in for this big fucking showcase. Spectacular.
Yeah,
Like, it was amazing.
It was in this like tiny ass. I mean, it was a warehouse, so it was
Yeah.
tall, but like there wasn't room around this ring.
No.
Like it was like big enough for it to fit, and then like they had this like wooden walkway along one side of it, and then some stairs that came down, and then everything else was like this equipment and shit. It was super small get up. But to go and put on a 24-hour live stream of just constant wrestling and to pull people in, Joey Janela came in
Yeah.
and fucking wrestled in it. Like,
Did commentary that was great later.
yeah, I wasn't able to watch that whole thing. I couldn't stay up for 24 hours.
Yeah, that's fair. Ken Broadway was a guy that worked a couple matches there. Fucking amazing.
All right.
Like, that dude's like, he's gonna get signed somewhere. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him on Dark soon. I can't remember everyone else I saw, but he stuck out for sure. Because I thought his pants were silly. And then he started working. Like, it looked like he was wearing big boxers with money signs on them.
Weird.
Yeah, but he was so fucking good.
What else you got on your list over there?
That's it. That's it for those moments. This is all just other shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much everything that got me like back into it.
Oh, another kayfabe commentaries.
Oh, yeah.
That made me fall back in love with the old school and with the lore and with like the bones and mechanics of pro wrestling, the booking, like where did the territories?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, Leroy McGurk, man. Bill Watts bought the territory from him and expanded, and then the UWF, when they started up that Pro Wrestling USA shit, butted heads with the AWA and the NWA, and everybody couldn't come together. And everyone
Something
fucking
else
failed.
we need to go fucking watch and talk about at UWF Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh yeah.
About the owner of that.
Yeah, that was when he brought it back because Bill Watts may have been dead by then, but they just let the copyright lapse because no one wanted Universal Wrestling Federation.
That's,
Except Herb Abrams.
Yeah, Herb
Bro,
Abrams.
young boy, Jarms, Jarls, whatever the fuck your name is. You don't pay me enough to remember. Herb fucking Abrams, this cocaine-addled little madman.
Cowboy boot wearing.
Dude, bright yellow cowboy boots with like UWF embroidered on it. This guy was fucking wild. And he was such a good talker and charismatic behind the scenes. There were guys who wrestled for him in this tiny, shitty, failing, overblown up promotion.
Yeah.
He dies of cocaine, by the way, covered in...
Everything's going pretty good for him. And he's making more money, he's bringing in bigger names type thing or whatever, and like they have eyes on him. They're actually doing okay.
Yeah.
But his cocaine problem, more money, more cocaine. He's constantly doing cocaine to the point to where the business is just like failing. And they find him in his office, naked, covered in baby oil, and covered in cocaine as well. And the story goes that he had hired a call girl of sorts.
Maybe more than one.
And they were having a party or whatever, and he just went absolutely nuts on them and chased them out of his office completely naked, covered in baby oil and cocaine, and then overdosed in his office. And that's how they found him, covered in baby oil and cocaine.
There were still guys from back then who didn't really get big, who would talk about Herb and get in tears and be like, he believed in me, and like he really did believe in me. And Herb Abrams really just believes in cocaine and fun. He just liked pro wrestling. But yeah, any Dark Side of the Ring, I'd love to sit down and watch with the young boys and Lemur.
Yeah.
And just fucking...
Great series.
It's so weird.
It took me a minute to realize Jericho was the one commentating.
Yeah.
Narrating the whole thing.
Which is wild. So they know Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
They've all seen Chris. You remember Chris Jericho, right? All right.
You know what Vice is? The company Vice. They do a lot of like different. It's just like a news outlet company or whatever. They got a big YouTube thing.
Oh yeah.
And they just random documentaries about anything really.
They've done a bunch of wrestling stuff.
Yeah, these two dudes came to him with a project, and they were like, "We want to call it Dark Side of the Ring, and we're going to go into these deep, dark secrets and stories of past wrestling shit." And
They sure as shit do.
they go on the deepest dives and wrestlers I'd never fucking heard of before.
Gino Hernandez.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Gorgeous Gino, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Like they get it. His mom didn't speak anything about him for over 20-something years, almost 30
like
years,
that, yeah.
because she thought that like these drug people had killed him and were gonna come after her, and she just like hid and stayed quiet her whole
They
life.
thought it was the mafia.
Yeah, until these two dudes finally came to her and were like, "Hey, we've spoken to people. Like, can we talk to you?" And they like, it's nuts. How deep they go for the lore and history of pro wrestling.
But yeah, Vice also back in the day did a piece on CZW on the Tournament of Death. I think that's probably what we'll sit down and watch first with you.
It's nuts.
Watch this little 45-minute piece, and they've got the Kinshin. What's the thing called?
It's like
called?
a Kinzon or something like that.
Kinzon.
It's
shit.
the thing that goes in the end of light tubes. It like holds them together or whatever with the prongs on it. Okay, well inside of that there's like a spike on the inside of it, and they take these fucking things and they'll put them on their heads and just
It's covered in spikes.
they just hold it, and they're just like pop, pop, and just hammering it into into someone's head.
Yeah.
And they have to pull them out with like pliers and shit. It is disturbing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful chaos.
One way of looking at it.
Oh, and Masada's in that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, you'll get to see Masato.
They like interviewed him a good bit and like talked to him. He's like one of the like when they first are like setting up and everybody's getting there or whatever, and they walk back to talk to the wrestlers. There's like Masada's one of the three sitting in the chair or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like him and the other dude going over the spots they want to do type
I
shit.
remember that. That's one thing I want to work up to one day is getting a fucking interview with Masada.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there one day.
I'll make a call.